See you then. Okay, so I'm going to be patching from scratch here because there's nothing plugged in. So real quick, explaining what you're looking at. This is a modular synthesizer. So it's a musical instrument, an electronic synthesizer built from different modules that are put together. This one's still in progress. It's my first, actually my only system. I'm not expecting to have more than one. This is my first system that I've built. There's some holes here where I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to put in there. So it's growing over time. That's one of the nice things about modular, is that you very slowly sort of, well, you can buy it all in one go if you want, but you slowly sort of piece it together and try and figure stuff out. Real quick, I do want to shout out Modular Maritime, who built this case, a really good company from the south of France in Marseille, building really quality cases to put your modular synthesizer in, and 100 ans du communisme, du Parti communiste français. Anyway, so I'm just going to quickly just explain what all of these modules do, and then I'm going to start putting them together. So let's start with some really simple ones. This is a mixer, so I can put signals in up here, and it will sort of add them down. What's nice about this one is if I take a signal out from here, for instance, then it sort of breaks and it becomes two mixers. And that's how I'm going to be using it. I'm going to have one mixer here and one mixer here. This is a voltage-controlled amplifier. So what it does is I put a signal in here, and then over here I can put in how loud I want that signal to be, and it will amplify the volume for me. This is a mult, so all it does is it takes a signal that I put in here, and it just repeats it. And this one also sort of doubles it down, so if I put a signal in here and not in here, then I have 8 copies of it instead of just the 4. A little bit more complicated, over here I have the Hertz donut. The Hertz donut is a phase distortion and frequency modulation oscillator. So what it does is it's got one main oscillator up here and then 2 smaller oscillators here. And so the 2 smaller oscillators can sort of influence each other and just do weird stuff to each other, and then they also do weird stuff to the main oscillator. You'll hear all that happening in a bit. This is the mimetic digitalis. It's a sequencer, so basically I have 16 steps here, and we can sort of go through the steps and the values change. So it allows me to sort of have a sequence of things going on. So these can be notes, they can be values of like volume or how much effect I want to put on something. This over here is the ornament and crime, the micro ornament and crime with hemispheres installed. It's basically like a sort of Swiss Army pocket knife for modular synthesizers, and with the hemispheres firmware I have basically two little machines in here with 2 different programs that are running. One of them is a quantizer, so what that does is if I put in a sound, like a value that is close to a musical note, it will sort of snap it to the musical note that I want. And the other one is a Euclidean rhythms generator. What that does is it basically creates events in a sort of musical time. So I specify up here, if you see, I can specify, it's a bit too small, but I can specify a number of steps and then how many of those steps I want a pulse to happen on. And it sort of does some interesting rhythmical stuff here. This is Mutable Instruments Stages. It can do quite a lot of things. I'm going to be using it very simply today, but it can be repeating signals, it can be an envelope, so like a signal that drops down, and you can chain them together, which is something that's really special about stages. I'm going to be using it in a very simple way today. One of them is going to be a repeating signal that's going to be synced to a clock that's coming in, and the others are just going to be simple envelopes. This is NIT, which is a smaller version of the Mutable Instruments Platts. It's basically a whole bunch of different sound generators in a small box. I'm going to be using it only to make a kick today because I mostly want to focus on mucking about with the Hertz donut. This is a little multiple effects in the box. I'm going to be using it for a little bit of reverb because that sounds nice. And over here is my main audio out mixer. So I can put signals in up here, and then I have volume. I can make it louder and quieter, and I can pan it left and right. So that's probably the simplest module to understand. It's a mixer. You put things in it and it mixes them together, and that's what you're going to be hearing, and it's coming through these cables over here that are going to the computer. One last thing that I'm using is the Electron 4060 Mark II. It can do lots of really weird things, but today all I'm going to be using it for are clocks. And so what clocks are just a signal that are just tapping a given tempo. And so I'm going to have two clocks on here, one quick one and one slower one. Maybe I'll need the slower one, not sure yet, but mostly I'm going to be using a whole bunch of the quick one. So let's get going. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the auxiliary output of here and drop that into this side here. And that's just a sound, a buzzing sound. It gets a lot more interesting, trust me. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in the main output. So this has two outputs. The aux output is these oscillators. It's actually only going to be this oscillator modulated by that one. And this is the main oscillator up here, which has been sort of modified by a whole bunch of things. That can do some really exciting sounds. And that also sounds like that right now because it's not being modulated. So what I mean by modulated, if I open up this one a bit, if I open up this modulation thing here, we're getting sort of more interesting sounds happening. And same thing with the this one, if I get some interesting sounds. That's basically what those are doing. I'm going to turn that down. Actually, this one I'm going to immediately bring it through the reverb. And this one is actually going to go through the VCA because I'm going to need that in a bit. So, to get some stuff going, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of my clock signals over here, and I'm going to pop it into this. Real quick to show you actually what's going on in that clock signal, I'm going to turn this off. It's actually tapping this fast, so it's flashing in time. Let me make it a bit longer so you can actually see it. It's tapping this fast. There we go, this fast. And what I'm doing is I'm going to use that as a low frequency oscillator, and I'm syncing it, and so basically I'm getting one cycle every 4 pulses, and that's useful for a whole bunch of things. And so because it's useful for a whole bunch of things, I'm going to bring it out to my mult, and I'm going to use the mult to trigger the nit, and I'm going to take the nit out. I can't remember which output I wanted. Probably want this one. We'll hear in a minute. And I'm going to pop that into the mixer too, and let's turn that up. And I got a kick. One of the things I'm going to do with this as well is I'm going to be opening up the timbre for snares. Actually, you know what? I can do that right now. I'm going to take this other output here, that's over here, and I'm going to slap that into timbre. And that's one way of getting a kick and a snare out of just one module. It's going to get more fun in a minute, trust me on this one. Okie dokie. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another one of these clocky signals, and I'm going to pop it into here, and that's going to be a little gatey thing, and now here's where all the fun's going to start happening. So let's bring that out. That gatey signal, too many cables already. This is what's fun about this. Gonna bring that out over here to my mixer. So that's gonna start doing this over here. The reason I want it there is because I'm doing more stuff with that. And I am going to, I need a short cable for this. Short cable. And I'm gonna pop that down to the mod CV. And so if I listen, I'm getting a modulated version of it. Now here, actually let's put this into this other one over here. I'm going to show you one really neat trick. So this kick over here, so the rising edge of it, the moment where it turns on is what's starting the kick over here, but the falling edge can be used for some very interesting stuff. So it's over here in the multiple, so I can bring that out, pop that into B, and take the B input. And that gives us a sort of compression effect. It's called ducking, and it lets me sort of bring the synth out of the way when the kick is happening. That is going to be very, very nice. I'm going to do some really nice things with that. Okay, the next thing I'm going to want, because this is going to get boring really quickly if that's all you're hearing, is we're going to start sequencing the mimetic digitalis. And so what the mimetic digitalis is doing now, it's giving me a whole bunch of different signals over here. And I'm going to take the number 1, and that is going to be my pitch, so I can put that into the pitch input of the Hertz Sonnet. Another thing that I like to do, so this over here, the slider here, allows me to determine how long I want the notes to be. And I can also modulate that with another output of the mimetic digitalis. That's already a little bit more exciting. Okay, we're grooving, we're grooving. Okay, when I'm touching this thing for some reason, I think I've got a grounding problem. We'll figure that out. Okay, is that what I want? Yeah, it's going to be what I want. Okay. Alright, yeah, I can tweak the shift of the thing there. Okay, so now, remember that bass output I had going into this? I've now got that connected in. So that I have that other input now. And what's nice about that is I can make it shorter or longer. Can be nice. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? It's a bit too snappy at the beginning, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pop that into this input. Give it a little bit of rise time. Gets rid of that little snap. Okay, and to complete that kind of mess, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another one of these clock outputs. Alright. And I'm going to drop that into another gate over here. Give it a bit of an envelope. And I'm going to use that. Again, there's another one of these. What I'm going to modulate with this is the fold. It's, you know what, let's modulate another one of the fold parameters. That's a more fun one. We might want to do that backing out thing again. So I'm going to pick that up. Now we're cooking with gas. Okay, so some little last minute things that I want to do, and then we'll be on our way for the rest of the jam, is the note output. I'm not going to put it straight in. I'm going to bring it in through the quantizer. Oh yeah, and it needs a clock. And the clock it's going to take is going to be, this is where we get fun. Wait, have I run out of these already? Alright, I'll patch one to I think that's what I want. Yep, and I want the other one of these into, yeah, there. Yeah. This is scary. I have one cable left over. This is the same as the IKEA thing. I unpatched this, and I patched it again. I actually have 2 cables left over. Oh damn. It's alright. It sounds good. Let's jam. I'm gonna cut off my microphone so you can stop hearing me, and we're just gonna have fun with this thing now. If you have any questions, drop them in the YouTube or Discord chat, and I will answer in time. Enjoy.